And I met not a couple, but a guy and a girl that traveled together from Germany to New Zealand.
Mhm.
And we just started talking, and we had a long flight. So we talked a lot, and kind of they were my first friends. So I felt already not alone. And I just checked into a really nice hostel, and the people there were really open, and I was open and friendly and tried to make new friends because I was all of a sudden by myself.
Yeah.
And I met two other guys from Germany at that hostel, and we all just decided to travel around together for, I think, the first 3 months ish. So that was my whole mindset of, I explore this country now. But 1 week after arriving, I already had that conversation with the company, and they already said, we want you. You can go and travel New Zealand first, but we want you to be back and please work for
Mhm.
us. And we want your experience. And it was
Cool.
just perfect. I've never had such a really smooth transition. So I knew after the first week, okay, I can travel now for 3 months and then I have a job. So that was just perfect.
It's very nice because it gives you a lot of security, like you're traveling and you
Yeah.
know that you go back to safe. That's nice.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the biggest challenge that you find that you didn't expect? The moment that you realize, because until now it's very fairy tale, it's still the
Yeah.
excitement of the moment. When it's the moment that you say, okay, wow, I'm really far away from home. Like,
Yeah. I think traveling with the guys was great. They were really good company and really friendly and took care of me in a way. But with one of them, sometimes there were some issues and he would be a bit rude and like just difficult to deal with. That was the first time where I felt like, okay, my confidence drops a little bit, when you deal with someone who's constantly being rude and you just feel uncomfortable. I was like, oh, okay, so how do I deal with that? Do I face it? Do I say something? Do I let it slip because it's just 3 months? That was a bit weird because I could feel like all this excitement slowly goes away. But traveling was still great with them. So once we finished, I actually went always back to the same hostel in Auckland. It became like my base. And just before I had to start my job, I then went to Hamilton. So I bought a car by myself, which was scary because it's like you just go there and sign a paper, give money, and then the car's yours. It's a little bit more, but it's not as difficult as back home in Germany.
but you drive in the
So,
other side of the road, so that's another
exactly.
story.
Yeah. So I, when I traveled with the guys, we had a rental car,
Okay.
and I drove a few times already just to get used to it. And because on the South Island there are so much less people that you have
Mhm.
less traffic, so it was perfect for me to practice a little bit. But yeah, it was scary. My first drive from Auckland with my new bought car to Hamilton, scary. I was nervous. I was driving and I was like, oh my God, please let everything be all right. Yeah. And I can say the difficult part are roundabouts and intersections. That was tricky because you kind of you want
To
to
go
go
the
to
other
the
way
wrong
around.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but once I came over, so what actually was challenging, I booked a flat there, which is more like a shared space. Like, yeah, you have multiple people in one place.
Mhm.
You don't just have your own little apartment like I'm used to in Germany. When I first went there, it was a completely new townhouse unit. No one ever lived there before. I was the first one, and I haven't even seen that place before because I was in Auckland. So I booked in the viewing with the intention to move in right away. And that's really uncommon.
Mm.
But luckily, I liked it. And the agency or the person who looked after it as a property management person agreed that I could move in straight away. Otherwise, I would not have any place to go at that night. But I was like, I guess I figure it out.
You had a new car.
And I had a car. I could, that would be a bit scary. Yeah. So again, worked out really well. But I had a bit of issues with the money because of the bond. It was relatively high. I wasn't allowed to take that much money from the ATM at
Mm.
once. So I had to do it in 2 steps. That was a bit tricky. And then I was just in this empty room, in an empty unit for the very first time, just by myself after being surrounded by people constantly. And there was only a mattress. There was no cutlery in this house. Usually it says fully furnished, but it wasn't. It had the basics like a toaster. Or no, not even a toaster. No toaster, no cutlery, no pottery, no, not a kettle, just nothing really. And it had a mattress, but it didn't have any sheets or any blankets or duvets, just nothing. And that was the first time when it hit me. I was sitting in that room all by myself, completely overwhelmed, a bit lonely and lost. And I called my mom and I cried.
Yeah. Sounds
Yeah.
like. I mean,
Yeah.
it's far away. It's also not that you can solve it with, okay, I buy a ticket for next weekend and I will be home. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
work like
Nah.
that.
No, and it was never an option for me anyways. And I just signed up for that job that would, I think, start a week after that. So I was like, okay, I'm here now. Even though it's difficult and it's lonely and I feel awkward and I have to buy a whole lot of things that I didn't even know I need. And you need to think of it, right? Okay, you need toilet paper, you need even a toilet brush, you need towels, stuff that you usually already have.
Mm.
So I went to the warehouse and I had this massive wagon trolley full of stuff. And that was just absolutely awkward for me. I never had to do that before like that. Even moving apartments back home, I always had my parents to support me. So that was interesting. Yeah, but definitely my first feeling of loneliness and really challenged, overwhelmed. But in the end, again, everything is how they say, figure out a bit. And yeah, you find solutions, but it might be uncomfortable for a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe the last question from these sections. How do you deal with being homesick or like missing stuff from home? Like, how do you stay connected?
Yeah. So I was still very excited also with a new job, new people, and my flatmates that shortly moved in as well were really, really nice. It was a French couple, and I'm still connected. They're so lovely. We became good friends, and my colleagues were really friendly. So I slowly started having friends also from hostels. They would come and visit me. That helped a lot to not be alone. I did make a lot of calls back home. Yeah, to check in, just to talk to my mom and dad and just in general to my friends. And my friends were so amazing. They actually, when I left, got all my friends to write a letter and spread it out over, I don't know how many weeks, but I had probably 20 or so letters. And every weekend I was allowed to open one. So that got me through the first weeks of homesickness because they wrote something really nice and special. And that was really lovely. And for me, really making connections and new friends is for me the key to not be so homesick. But of course, there were moments when you were like, oh, okay, I'd rather have someone that already knows me really well. I remember my first heartbreak. I did not know most of the people that long yet. It was a few months in, and I really missed having someone who knows me for the past 15 years to comfort me, to give me a hug. So I was surrounded by nice people, but I wasn't that close to them yet, and I didn't want to be completely vulnerable and open my heart to just anybody. So I felt sometimes a bit isolated. And yeah, I think that was quite tough. So I made even more calls home. I cried at that time quite a bit.